This is personalized medicine. Everybody and every body has a story, what your doctor won't tell you. But we had a little camera trouble this morning, so let me know you can hear us or see us. That's my biggest thing. Hey, Sharon. We should have Sharon should come on as a sponsor of this show, I think. We're going to talk about sponsors later on. Hey, Shirley. Welcome back, Shirley. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us. That's super important. Sound is good. Thank you, Shirley. Hopefully I look good too, right? We got hearts. The lighting is so weird today. You know, I have to change rooms. Hey, Sharon. We've missed you. Where you been? I have to change rooms every day, so I'm never exactly sure whether or not, like my computer. There we go. All right, so we're sort of okay. I wanted a picture in the background instead of the door. So there we go. Hey, Lori. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. So I listed a few topics. We have a lot of questions that come in. Miss you, Sharon. We have a lot of topics that come in. I can't talk today. I went to the doctor yesterday, which is a whole nother story. And I think these antibiotics have my head spinning. But epigenetics, epigenetics, which we're going to talk about. The risk factors for depression. There's 44 traits that they identified, allegedly, according to this new study. And then keto do's and don'ts. We've had a lot of questions because Russ has been so gracious in talking about keto and intermittent fasting and so many different things that we can do better for ourselves. And yet, there's so much misinformation out there. So enough of me. Welcome, Russ.
Hey, folks, how you doing? Folks, some of the topics we're going to cover today, a lot of the people that Ted has introduced me to is going to the Russ Scala YouTube channel, and they're taking a little bit more time and taking a deep dive into some of the videos that we created. So the Russ Scala YouTube channel is there for you to get educated, and it's all about what you're not going to hear from your doctor.
Oh, look, we have visitors. Hi, Elsie.
Hi, Mr. Williams. How are you?
Yeah, I love it. No, you're touring the club. Look, this is where we do a live show, and Elsie Hernandez is our favorite membership person. Yeah, so, but what happens is we get a ton of questions. We get so many people that watch the show, and then they go, all right, Ted, well, what do I do? Am I supposed to listen to keto? Let's start with keto first. Am I supposed to listen to all of the things that the different keto people are telling us? I was telling Russ, which I don't think he knew, if you go on Pinterest, for example, keto, I mean, that is what comes up primarily. There's so many different recipes. And what I was reading, it seemed like it was the antithesis of what keto was. So what I thought we could do is flashcard it down for somebody like me and talk about keto do's and don'ts and what keto actually means. Because honestly, I'm not sure. And I don't think a lot of people who are watching are sure.
Okay.
So well, give us the 101 on that, Russ.
Okay, the 101 is, folks, think about everybody's biochemically unique, so certain people will respond to keto, other people won't. Certain people are normal weight, metabolically obese, which means they're normal weight and everybody thinks they're healthy, and when you do their blood work, they're really in bad shape. So if you think of, go back 100,000 years, what did the hunters and gatherers eat? And basically, there are essential fatty acids, omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. There are essential amino acids from protein. That makes up our cellular metabolism. So, you know, eating protein, eating essential fatty acids, there's really no essential carbohydrates. So we've known this for thousands of years, and now it's becoming popular because we have the obesity epidemic right now. We have a dementia epidemic. So what I want you guys to think about is diabetes, heart disease, dementia, and obesity all have one thing in common. That's elevated insulin. All right, insulin and inflammation.
See, I didn't know that.
Okay, so instead of compartmentalizing these illnesses, you hear us talking today. If you eat a diet where you look down at your plate and you can keep your insulin levels down, that'll make you more metabolically active. That will protect you in the future. The ketogenic diet, okay, and intermittent fasting, as I said, impact more metabolic pathways than any drug currently on the market. That's a pretty powerful tool to use. So when you go on the internet and you're looking up the ketogenic diet, there's a few different things going on there. There's people that want to find the ketogenic diet because they have a pathology, they may have brain damage, okay, from an injury, and I've worked with all those folks. I used the ketogenic diet to rehab brain injuries, to rehab depression. There's the sports performance market that is now using the ketogenic diet for sports performance. And then there's regular folks that just want to eat right, stay in the game, you know, and stay off a bedpan as they age. So there's three
I
different types.
definitely want to stay off the bedpan.
No, I mean-
my kids do too. My
No,
kids
exactly.
want that to happen.
No, I mean,
But what is the what is so you eat a lot of a lot of people compare it to Atkins, but that's not what it is. So you give them the basics of what keto is.
it's just, folks. It's just basically, first of
Meat
all,
and vegetables.
Yeah, I'm training coaches here in Orlando and Winter Park to hold people's hands to go through this process.
I need that.
I'm way too ADD to be a coach. I do the high level interventions, which is I just know my skill set. But we're gonna help you. You need to read. You need to step up to the plate. You need to keep a food log. There's 8,000 foods out there. We have tendency to only eat 11. So there's some behavioral change that goes along with us. I've got a lot of my clients that drink. I don't tell them not to drink, but I move them from beer, the liquid bread, over to vodka because vodka doesn't elevate their blood sugar as much. Beer can elevate estrogen levels in men and women. So I shift them over to, drinking more of a hard liquor that doesn't elevate estrogen levels. And everything we drink and swallow, folks, takes a first pass through the liver. So if you drink more hard liquor, it's actually more beneficial for your liver than drinking beer, for instance. So we find out this along the way.
I love that. Stacey Bogert, did you hear that? She can't watch right now, but
Yeah.
but I think people get confused. So they say, well, but I love breads, and so you don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you.
Yeah.
On Pinterest, there are again 7 billion recipes for keto-friendly bread, net carbs 0. But when you look at the ingredients, I'm never sure if what they're putting into it makes sense for your body. And so people look at that and they go, oh, I'm on the keto diet. I'm going to make this bread that is keto friendly. And I don't even know what that means, but I think a lot of people get confused because they think, okay, I can eat everything I want. I just need to adjust the recipe a little bit, which is fine, but I want to know if that's real.
Okay, here we go, folks. There's a lot of marketers out there using slick marketing in this ketogenic movement. Just like when my father was a diabetic, they had diabetic candy.
Yes, my father-in-law ate that.
It was a joke.
That's what he called.
So here's what we do, folks. Think about this. The next time you're in your doctor's office and you're eating this bread or you're on the ketogenic diet, ask for a lab work. Ask for a blood test called hemoglobin A1C. Hemoglobin A1C measures how much sugar hits your red blood cell. I call it the liar test. How much sugar hits your red blood cell in 90 days, because our blood cells last about 90, 120 days. So if your hemoglobin A1C comes back and you're in the 6s and 7s, then we got to look at your diet and say you need to cut out the simple carbs. If what you're eating, if you're eating carbs and you're eating that keto bread, for instance, and you get a hemoglobin A1C back and it's below 5, then your diet is fine. So what we want to do is use the blood work. You don't have to tell your doctor what it is. Just save some money, run it through insurance, get your hemoglobin A1C, get your fasting insulin, because if I have those two things, then we can tweak your diet. So now you're biochemically unique. We're looking at metabolic markers only in your metabolism, and then you adjust your diet after that. Make sense?
Correct, because Clay says, nice shirt on that guy. This is Russ.
Thanks,
Very nice.
Clay.
And thank you, Rob. You can have the jacket if you want, my friend. And thank you guys for the comments. And we have a lot of comments on here, which we'll get to. But I think that what they always hear you say is that you're biochemically unique.
Exactly.
And so just because, a lot of people will see, all right, they're eating the keto diet, and then they get to this plateau. There's this, hey Cindy, there's this whole thing called keto flu that everybody talks about, or there's carbohydrate flu.
Right, okay.
But then they see their friends eating every meal at Olive Garden or whatever pasta place you want to go to, and they're staying as thin as possible. But this goes back to the biochemically unique, right?
Right, exactly. So if you're, folks, listen, I've worked with people that were 400 pounds and they were going through really stressful times. If we take a page out of the book called Potatoes Not Prozac, simple carbohydrates, bread, pasta, white rice, they elevate our serotonin levels. They make us feel good. So imagine if I meet somebody that's going through a hard time. I'm not going to be the food Nazi and cut that food out of their diet.
Correct.
This is a process. Trying to burn body fat, you have to understand your physiology. You got to go to school a little bit, okay? This is like trying to work on your car. You go to a mechanic for that. Just arbitrarily swallowing food, it's not going to work for you. So you got to get trained a little bit. That's why I started the Russ Scala YouTube channel. That's why I consult people. That's why I have physicians in this town that could ramp up a program in case we need it. But your knowledge is what's going to keep you healthy over the next 20 years. What you do, what you eat is going to keep you healthy, keep you out of a nursing home, help your aging parents avoid dementia. Because you're not going to get this information from traditional medicine. It's just not there.
Which is why we're going to do, and we keep talking about it, but we're going to set it, and I think we're going to do it at Total Wine. I haven't set the date yet, but we'll post something really soon. And then we want to invite you all to come out. We've got room for 15-ish people, and we want you to come out, bring your issues, bring your questions, and Russ will talk about a couple of topics, but then the majority of the time, we want to hear what's going on with you, right? And just like we want to hear on the show, if you guys have questions, if you guys have comments, hey, Connie, and you want to ask Russ, ask him. It's super important to
folks,
get engaged.
Exactly. What I want to do at these meetings that Ted and I are going to have in different parts of Orlando, I don't want to be talking about myself for an hour. I want you to bring your questions. I want to answer those questions. You bring a notebook, write them down, so when you leave that meeting with Ted and I, you could implement something, whether it's blood work to order from your doctor or you could implement basic diet things. This is what we want to do, and I want to create a community. I want to create a community of people that could email each other, share the research that we put together, and raise ourselves to the next level, okay?
Correct. All right, so we've talked about keto, but honestly, just one quick question I get asked a lot. The recipes for bread on keto, is there any type of keto bread that you can eat? Do you have to make it yourself? Does it have to come from the blood of your firstborn child? I mean, that's what some of these recipes sound like. Or is that all just fake? Or is there a keto bread? Is there something that you can eat that would make you feel like you're because a lot of it has to do with your perception, right?
The only thing I know is that I when I test people and I look at their blood work, there's a bread out there that does not raise insulin and it doesn't raise hemoglobin A1C levels or your blood sugar. Remember, folks, you raise your blood sugar, you're accelerating the aging process. Whether a woman's worried about her skin or you're worried about your grandfather's brain, you elevate blood sugar, it's toxic. Again, I don't want to sound like the food Nazi, but there's a bread out there called Ezekiel bread.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Okay, so Ezekiel bread is cool. So a lot of people can eat Ezekiel bread, but if somebody comes back with bad numbers, and it depends on where they are in their life, and if they really I got a guy. We have people that are like 300-400 pounds. And when I meet these people, I'm like, wow, they just don't have the toolbox. They are metabolically broken. And I also know they're probably dealing with depression. So we're looking at maybe a 12-month program. They're not going to drop the weight really fast. We have to fix their metabolism. We have to use nutrition, hormones. We've got to look at their intestinal microflora, because you are not what you eat, you already absorb. So these people are a handful, but we can help them. We can help them.
All right, so we've got some questions. Sharon says, I have a cousin newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Could he reverse this with dietary changes?
Yeah, I think somebody that's diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I think if we look at them on the cellular level, we do some advanced testing, you incorporate the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting, and then you balance out their hormonal levels, you correct all the hormonal deficiencies, yes, diabetes is being reversed in real time. And there's a talk on the TED Network. If you guys Google the new diabetic cure, you will see a woman that's out on the tip of the spear that talked at a TED conference that talks about insulin should not be used for diabetics. Now that's going to blow somebody's hair back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
All right. So, and then Shirley says, which is true, I use this too. Shirley uses romaine leaves for her bread, makes great sandwiches, nice and crunchy. So there are alternatives that don't have to have all of the fillers in them. And I think that's what people fear, is especially you see these recipes and you're like, but I don't even know if that's good. I don't even know if that's good to put in
Shirley's
there.
right. Shirley's right. Taste buds are trainable.
Correct.
It takes a little bit of time. When I meet people, I work with 11th hour. I'm an 11th hour interventionist, so I meet people that are really in dire straits. And sometimes the only thing they got to look forward to is food and what they're drinking. So am I going to come in if I'm going to help them and cut that out? No. We got to...
No, because then we're going to deal with the next topic, which is depression.
Exactly.
So before I switch, Tony, keep going on your keto. You'll have to let us know how you do. Give us some update, because he's in the middle of keto right now.
Good job, Tony.
Great job. All right, so there was a study that came out. There are 44 genetic traits or genetic markers for depression. So we've talked a little bit on the show about depression and how there are so many factors that go into that, and that we're obviously over-medicating in ways that we don't need to be, because we're biochemically unique. So can you talk a little bit about that study that came out, because you posted it on your website, and then give us some insight into that, because I think a lot of people are, I would say, I won't say any names, but I would guess that we have a lot of audience members that are on something.
Yeah, I think listen, folks, let's look at the history. If you look back in the 1960s, where the American Medical Association was trying to run the psychiatric community out of town, we couldn't look inside the brain in real time. There was a lot of controversy about the psychiatric industry just treating the head. So look what's evolved since then. We know that our emotions are tied to our intestinal tract. Our gut is the second brain. You are not what you eat or you absorb. The gut is the second brain. We know that your thyroid and your adrenal glands and your pancreas all affect our moods. Okay, we know that your situation, if you're over in Iraq and you're in the war zone, you have more tendency to be depressed when you come home. That's situational. So if we're going to medicate emotions and put everybody on the same SSRI, Prozac, Paxil, and Zoloft, and turn them into extras for The Walking Dead, you could do better. We can do better.
Agreed.
Okay, so again, the psychiatric community, they were trying to tie themselves in with the DMS-1 back then, and they were listing names of mental illnesses because they needed to put a label on us to follow that up with a treatment. I believe depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, it's all multifactorial, and it comes from different areas. People, I feel so bad for people that go into a doctor's office that may be a family friend, and they get put on an SSRI or an antidepressant, and over time that damages your prefrontal cortex. Google Dr. Peter Breggin, who wrote the book Toxic Psychiatry. He blew the whistle on the psychiatric industry, and I'm not saying this as a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying medicating people very quickly with these drugs compromise their metabolism. Like, we know that people, I've got clients right now that were addicted to SSRIs, but nobody talks about that. So before you swallow a pill, folks, do your research. And here's something to research. Remember this, the HPAG axis. The HPAG axis. That physiologically is what we need to check. Your adrenal glands impact your mood. Your thyroid impacts your mood. Your progesterone in women impacts your mood. Testosterone in men can elevate dopamine levels, growth hormone. When we're under physical, mental, or emotional stress, it suppresses the HPA axis. Just you knowing that and Googling that before you go into a psychiatrist, when he goes to write that prescription, you may want to say, Doc, I have a study here that says low thyroid affects my mood. How about we try a natural occurring hormone in my body like thyroid before you put me on that drug that may damage my prefrontal cortex over time? Now, you took control of your health, folks.
I love it. All right, so we've got a couple of things. Vic says that's discouraging. I think we're back a little bit to the insulin part. I'm about to go for my noon blood sugar check to determine my insulin dose. Keep it up, Vic. Keep doing what you're doing because you look amazing. So remember, biochemically unique. Everybody's different. So let us know how your noon blood sugar goes, because I'd love to hear more about that. And then, we just had Connie Simon asked, why don't doctors use SPECT, S-P-E-C-T brain scans to diagnose properly before medicating instead of guessing meds?
Well, most of the doctors got to see 30 people a day, and they're handcuffed by the insurance company, and they don't have time. So this is why we have to empower ourselves to ask the tough questions. We have to empower ourselves to take care of us and our family members, because it's just not going to be done right now. There's some they call iatrogenic deaths. Iatrogenic means death caused by the healer. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You could Google this. The third leading cause of death in the United States is iatrogenic death caused by our own medical system.
You gotta wrap your head around that.
That's scary.
Scary.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're at a risk when you go into a hospital for surgery. You may have a nosocomial infection with those superbugs that are in the hospitals. A person goes in for surgery in the hospital and their immune system is low. Look what they feed you in the hospital: high sugar foods.
Why is that?
Why they don't know. They're not trained in nutrition. They're not. All the doctors are training is in the standard of care. So when the pharmaceutical companies took over physicians' training in the 1960s, this is the end result of that.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that, because when I visit someone in the hospital, I see their food that comes in, and it looks like something you would immediately tell someone not to eat. right? It's just it's so high in sugar. That's what, or carbs. It's what it looks like. But yeah, I am amazed by that. All right, so and then Jolie just, hey, what's up, girl? Hey, Tony. Krebs Cycle. What's that?
The Krebs Cycle is what some of the advanced testing that we do, folks. We're able to measure how the body creates ATP, and basically, just think about a hamster wheel going in circles on a cellular level. When carbohydrates, fats, and protein come in to be broken up into fuel, we could measure that now. We can measure ATP on a cellular level.
What's ATP? I'm sorry.
Adenosine triphosphate. That's how we make energy. So some people that we've tested don't break down fat. Some people don't break down carbohydrates. And you need nutrition to break down carbohydrates and fats.
Right.
You may need carnitine is a nutrient that allows fat to get in the cell to produce energy. Now, if you're deficient in carnitine, we could test for that. So
there are blood tests that actually go deep, which is what you offer.
Yeah, but here's
consulting.
Exactly. Here's something else. If you're deficient in carnitine, you need more red meat. You see what I mean? So little things that we could tweak like that. There's no one diet, one program for all of us, folks. We gotta go on this journey together, and we have to keep a logbook, and we have to be patient advocates for our own family members.
Well, I think taking the first step, and then we'll move real quick to the last thing about epigenetics, right? Did I say that right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, good. I think that people have to understand there is no quick fix, just like there is no one pill. So when he's talking about food logs, I don't want you guys to check out mentally on that, because you've spent your entire life doing something that you were either thought was right, or your doctor told you was right, or your friends, or who knows who told you it was right. Hey, Brian, you can't do that. If you want to get better, you have to track what you're eating, track your habits, and that's what Russ does when he's consulting, and that's what we'll talk about when we do the community or groups that we're going to do starting this month, because that's what people really need to do. You just need to take an extra step. You're not going to find the magic pill.
I always say, show me your 3 friends, I'll show you your health. If at these gatherings we get people together and we get them and we create a community with each session that we do, these people can kind of monitor each other and be supportive of each other in a variety of fashions. So we also know that your community has a lot to do with your health. It really does, right? Doesn't it? If you're hanging around a bunch of energy vampires that are always complaining, and you're trying to get through the day, and you're doing therapeutic listening, you want to shit yourself after that.
Well, that's maybe we can. Diet's 90% of change. Hey, Brian, food log. Yes, Tony, you're right. Gold standard. I think it's important to track, because you think you know what you're eating, you think you know what you're ingesting, but you're not. We may not get to epigenetics today. We may have to put that off. But Pamela asks, what do you think of the Weight Watchers diet?
Well, I think here, real quick with Weight Watchers, the whole calories in, calories out, the whole idea of calories came from a guy named William Olin Atwater, who worked with a bomb calorie meter. And the bomb calorie meter measured the heat when he burned off something. For instance, if he would burn wood, he would measure the calorie count. Well, what he did is he was interested in nutrition, and William Olin Atwater started burning carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. That's how the calorie program started, whether calories are good or bad. And he made the leap saying that's how the body worked, and that isn't how it works. And here's the difference. Here's why Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig need to dive a little deep into the situation. If you got 300 calories of protein, 300 calories of fat, and 300 calories of bagels, a lot of people think that the 300 calories are going to be metabolized the same way. They're not. It's going to be you remember, fat distribution is nutritionally, is genetically determined, hormonally regulated. So hormonally regulated insulin, out of the 300 calories of the fat, protein, and bagels, what's going to elevate insulin, the fat storing hormone, the highest? It's going to be the bagels.
I was going to say the bagels.
So it has nothing to do with 300 calories. Everybody's biochemically unique.
Right.
You got a family sitting around a table and they're all having dinner. Dad and mom are going to metabolize that dinner differently than the children. Why? Dad and mom have estrogen and testosterone and cortisol. Dad may have been under stress that day and he's cramming down the carbohydrates to medicate his brain chemistry levels. The kids' hormonal levels are going through the roof, so they're pretty much bulletproof. They could eat anything. But folks, once we get past 35, we're hormonally deficient, and that has a lot to do with fat distribution, whether it's upper or lower body, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. All right, so any parting words of wisdom for them? I promise you, I had a lot of people ask me about the epigenetic thing, so we'll talk about that next week. Ask your questions. Connie says doctors x-ray bones before setting broken bones. Technology helps mental illness too. Guessing meds for depression until one works takes longer for patients. That's right, because trying to guess at that without doing the real dive down, is what you say, drive down, blood work just doesn't make any sense. It's a blanket prescription for something that shouldn't be blanketed. All right, any parting words of wisdom for them?
Russ, I've got, folks, I've got a lot of this information up on the Russ Scala YouTube channel where you can see where I've taken care of war veterans and college presidents and police officers. We have one up there that we did on the Pulse shooting in Orlando about the same kind of stress response of these officers that did not return to work after the shooting. So physical, mental, and emotional stress causes a lot of imbalances for us, but there's other things that we could do besides taking antidepressants.
Agreed. All right, so reach out to Russ, reach out to me, look at his YouTube channel. It's is it Scala Precision Health that they go to first, or what's the YouTube channel?
The YouTube channel is the Russ Scala YouTube channel, and my website is Scala Precision Health.
Okay, so look at it and then ask us. And then I saw a whole bunch of people say they'd go to the event. I promise you, we're going to make the announcement next week when we come in, maybe a little bit before, so that you guys know the date and time and where we're having it. So we love you guys. Thanks for all the questions and the input. Reach out to Russ or reach out to me, and I'll reach out to Russ for you. But definitely take it into your own hands. Take your health into your own hands, and let's move it forward. I know a lot of you are struggling, and we're all struggling. It's not just you, trust me. So let's do it together. All right, we love you. See you next week.